council meeting. We'll have a call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Oliphant.
Here.
Roush.
Here.
Hush.
Here.
Gale.
Here.
Delaney.
Here.
Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Roush.
Second.
Second by Gale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At this point, we'll have public comment. You have a limit of 3 minutes per person on agenda items and local government issues. Seeing none, we'll go to the consent agenda. Minutes, City Council, 3/11/24, March 25th, 24, and annual liquor license renewal, Bilani LLC, doing business as the Bent Rim. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
I'll second.
second by Delaney. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, we need to open a public hearing for rezoning of the library lots. I need a motion to this effect.
I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
Motion by Roush,
Second.
second by Gale. Roll call.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
I will speak. We had a planning and zoning commission public hearing last week, maybe the week before, 2 weeks ago. And we had one resident who had communicated with me via email, someone that lives across the street on Second Avenue, had some questions about different things. By the end of the day, between probably 4 back and forth, they were in support of everything as it was. The R1 does not specifically permit public buildings like this. There's some reference to things like utility buildings, parks, things like that, but it doesn't specifically say public or community buildings. So therefore, the C2 zoning is most appropriate without changing the zoning code. And then in addition, the setbacks are more compliant with the C2. C2 would be like our downtown district where there's 0 setbacks. And the setbacks that we have on the north and south, front to back, are around 11 and 12 feet. So we wanted to get this done prior to the actual building going in. So there were no other concerns brought forward.
If there's no questions on this, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Got it. I'll second.
Motion by Delaney, second by Oliphant. Roll call.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Number 9, consideration of ordinance number 08-24, public library lot rezoning, and this is the first reading of 3.
So before there's a motion, I would also like to have us in 2 weeks, if the council is okay with it, to do the second and third reading, just to make sure that we don't cross over between foundations being put in. So I didn't think it was appropriate to try and get it all done today, but
I'll make a motion to that effect
with the first reading.
with the first, how are you? Yes.
First reading and advertise second and third next time.
Correct.
Motion by Oliphant,
Second.
second by Delaney. Roll call.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Number 10, consideration of ordinance number 06-24, small solar systems requirements for special exceptions, and this is the third and final reading.
Again, nobody's come forward with any changes, so you'll just remember, we basically took out roof-mounted residential solar units don't have to come for a special exception. Ground and large ones do.
If there's no questions, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 06-24.
Motion by Roush,
Second.
second by Gale. Roll call.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Number 11, consideration of resolution number 31-24, authorizing the use of a preliminary official statement in connection with the sale of general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2024.
This is the final step prior to bringing forward any numbers from you, so it'll be a negotiated sale where D.A. Davidson will meet with and advertise to people who purchase public bonds. I've already reached out to Onward, Fidelity, who have both said that they would, like to be able to have a conversation with D.A. Davidson, and then they'll reach out to other people in the market. And so this is basically giving your final direction that it's okay for them to go forward. And then at the next council meeting in 2 weeks is when we would have our numbers, and you'll be doing the final approval for that borrowing. Again, this is for Highway 136 for the library and then refinancing the sweeper.
Any questions? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
Second.
second by Delaney. Roll call.
Delaney,
Aye.
Oliphant,
Aye.
Roush,
Aye.
Hush,
Aye.
Gale,
Aye.
Number 12, consideration of resolution number 34-24, change the city's annual debt dissemination agent, D.A. Davison.
So I think back in the day, many, many years ago, we've used D.A. Davidson for a long time, from my understanding, but Northland Securities used to do some stuff. There was a gentleman, I don't even know his name, but D.A. Davidson knew who it was and has indicated that, they are not by any means trying to push for them to be this dissemination agent. They just mentioned that by having the same financial advisor and dissemination agent, there's no ever anything getting missed between like what we're borrowing and somebody making sure. So it's really just all the annual paperwork that goes along with our requirement to fill out different forms at the end of the day. So right now, this Northland Securities has been notifying us. I think I heard from them in June. However, it just is an extra step, making sure that I would have to let them know there's some things that are out on the market that they may see. But they said it's really not we're just letting you know. So I thought it made sense, so I'm bringing it forward to the council that I would recommend that we switch from Northland Securities. It's not a money thing, it's really just continuity.
Is there a big difference in what Northland Securities pays versus Davidson?
No, it's really just semantics of not having an extra layer of who to inform.
If there's no questions, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 3424.
Motion by Roush,
Second.
second by Oliphant. Roll call.
Oliphant,
Aye.
Roush,
Aye.
Hush,
Aye.
Gale,
Aye.
Delaney,
Number 13, consideration of resolutions number 32-24 and number 33-24, EMS volunteer compensation.
So I've been working with Kim and Mike on this. Kim is here, as you can see now. So we have sort of two phases to this. One is, you'll recall that prior to fiscal year '22 and '23, we were giving the ambulance an amount of $10,000 for volunteer compensation. And then in '22 and '23, we increased that to $12,000. However, when those stipends were being paid from the EMS checking account out to the volunteers who are officers, that amount never got increased. So through the conversations that we've had, based on the consultants being here, Megan and Mike and the mayor attending meetings, what we concluded was that instead of going back to fiscal '22 and '23 and giving them funds that were additional in that year, everyone was comfortable with just leaving those 2 years as is. And then in fiscal '24, we also budgeted $12,000 for this year. But due to the fact that we had kind of already known that we were moving forward with this study, and that we had determined that there was a kind of an appropriate step to make sure the council gave specific direction on who would get what, as opposed to just shipping the 12,000 and kind of they had decided before, which nobody understood, that it wasn't anybody doing anything on purpose. It was just the way it had been for a long time. So if you look at the spreadsheet, Kim calculated basically taking the first 9 months, because we'd be changing this on April 1, and compensating everybody as they had, because we hadn't made a decision prior to April 1. So we'd like to give the compensation as it was before, up until March 31st, and then that number is the $7,695. So then Kim calculated what they have left. They had an actual separate bank account for that compensation. So if you take the $76.95, and then the amount that's in their bank account is the $66.41.56, which would mean that the council would be approving one final payment of $1,053.44 to compensate everybody in the same way that they had been compensated for the first 9 months of the year. And then starting on April 1, we would be moving into the second resolution of how they're getting paid. As you know, you already made the decision on how we're going to compensate the director. The one thing that Kim and I discussed after the packet was kind of already decided was we need to still have conversations between LifeQuest, our billing company, and what Pam does by reviewing it, and so I think she gets, is it $125 a month? It used to be under Peg, now it's Pam.
No, it's always been Pam.
Oh, Pam, sorry, $135 a month. So we want to look at that before we just aren't clear on exactly what'll happen in the review that she does for everybody. So the consultants had said that they thought that that's what LifeQuest did. But we really haven't been clear on LifeQuest doing that, and so we just kind of want to leave that out, kind of in limbo for the next month. And so I think that Kim was going to talk to Pam and just say, we need to have further conversations with LifeQuest. So, again, so resolution 32 is basically clarifying that we're leaving 22 and 23 as is, and then allocating an additional $1,053.44, directing the EMS crew to use the $6,600 to make these final payments for 9 months, which Kim will do. And then once that checking account is settled, that account would be closed. And then when we move to resolution 33, where we will pay people by hourly based on their position of driver, EMT, or RN and paramedic, and those funds will then come directly from the city in the form of a payroll check, so they wouldn't need that bank account anymore. So that's our recommendation. If there's any questions?
If none, I need a motion.
Make a motion to that effect.
Motion by Delaney,
Do you want to do both resolutions together? Okay.
Yes.
motion by Delaney,
I'll second it.
second by Oliphant, roll call.
Roush?
Aye.
Hush?
Aye.
Gale?
Aye.
Delaney?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Number 14, consideration to approve 37 hours of vacation carryover for the city administrator to be used by 12/31/24.
So I was thinking that when I went full-time, that was my date in the system for August, so that I had some summer stuff planned, but because I did have vacation when I started in March as interim, the system shows it as March, and so I have some stuff that I can use those in the summer, but without approval, it would just kick it out and I'd lose that week. So that's my request.
Just a quick question. I wonder if we shouldn't do we allow employees to bank?
Yeah, so you're allowed to carry over half of what your allotment is.
So you lose
So,
it? So you
If you don't use half, so like I'm at 3 weeks. So if I don't use anything that I have over a week and a half, I lose. So this is 37 hours over a week and a half.
Okay.
So it's, the carryover is half of whatever increment you're at. So if you're at 4 weeks, you can carry over 2. If you're at 5 weeks, you can carry over 2.5. So that's what happens at the rollover.
But it's on your official start date, or is that when is your year at?
So
Sorry.
for me, because I was almost full-time and you guys gave me vacation in the beginning, mine is March 28th.
Okay.
Whereas remember, like I was interim till August, so I think my higher date of officialness was in August,
Oh, got it, okay.
so.
Would we be better off I'm just thinking if somebody knows they have surgery coming up, they only have so much sick leave, sometimes to be able to bank a week.
Sick leave, they can bank as much as they want.
What's that?
Sick leave, they can bank.
But let's say, let's say a typical person has 5 days or something, and they have, I'm just thinking, somebody planning to have a surgery or something like that, that they could,
If somebody
if we
can-
allowed them to bank 40 hours over, above what they're getting at that time, at least they would have time, or some number.
So they could use sick time and vacation time for
Correct.
that.
So like, we've had a couple times, it's just been a day or two, but like, I gave permission for, like, I don't even know if it ended up to be much, because I think they get nervous about it, but I feel like when we had the big water main break on 4th Avenue last summer, like, it was close to Ben's carryover, and he was like, I gotta be gone the next 2 days or I'm gonna lose it, and I was like, no, like, that's silliness, like, we need you down here helping, like, you can use it later. So I did that, like, on a very rare, once in a while decision for employees, but I wouldn't want to make that decision for myself. The other thing, Bill, to your point is, Riley and I talked about this over the weekend, is that our personnel handbook hasn't really been reviewed in a long time, and I've got some from some other communities that were recently reviewed by firms that were paid. And so one of the tasks that we're going to do over the next few months with the personnel committee is kind of going over that stuff and seeing for things like that to get it updated in the book. We want to talk about the guys being able to earn comp time, like the hourly employees. especially when you have a young crew, like Greg, only has a little bit of vacation. So instead of forcing him to take pay, like when there's been snow or when he's on call and can earn some hours, my preference in most cities allow comp time so that they get a little bit of time off and it actually costs us less. I mean, we have physical money going out the door is less. We obviously have the downtime of when they're gone, but my suggestion would be to just approve this, and then the personnel committee, when they review the whole handbook, we can talk about that kind of stuff to add it in there, so that we do it all together.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
Second.
second by Hush. Roll, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 15, consideration of resolution number 30-24 to appoint Sue Napper to the Cascade Municipal Utilities Board of Trustees for a period of 3/20/24 to 3/20/30.
I explained that Sue was the one person who had submitted the letter. We did have someone else that came in, and I had a good conversation with him, and he switched his letter to be able to go for planning and zoning. And then we are looking for one more person if anybody knows of anyone interested. So for tonight, it's just appointing Sue, and then I told the mayor we'll bring the planning and zoning in 2 weeks. So I'm going to re-advertise for that one.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
I'll second.
second by Roush. Roll call.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Roush.
Aye.
Number 16, fiscal year 25 budget discussion.
I wasn't really planning, I just put that on there until we're done, but I wasn't planning to go over it anymore. I know Rob said to him, maybe him and I can just
Chad.
go over it separate, since you guys all kind of went through the line by line. Unless anybody has anything new.
Have we got any, since letters have gone out, have we got any questions from the community?
Has anybody read theirs and understood it? That's the real question.
I did actually read mine today. Fred handed it to me.
Did
He's
you
like, "There's a lot
understand
of
it?"
numbers on this.
Yeah, like we read ours, we have 2 that we got for the city, and depending on what TIF district you're in, like the numbers are completely different. Like we had one parcel that wasn't in a TIF, so it looks like we're all 0% of our, like if you don't understand the one little thing at the top that says TIF, it's like 0, 0, 0, whereas like if you're in one, then it's like, the other one that we had showed like 62%, so like if you don't know what you're reading, it looks like we're 62% of the tax bill, which we are not. So to me, we'll see what happens, but we haven't gotten any calls. You haven't, did you? I know that all the county people, I'll check in with Megan at Dubuque County or Whitney to see if anybody, it's following the rules, but I don't feel like it. Minus, everybody gets a mailer telling them when they can come to the public hearings. That's about it. So we'll see if at 5:30. That's all I have
That's it?
for that.
Reports, Fred?
I really don't have anything at this time.
Gotcha. Library furniture?
We will be meeting in a week or 2. I can't remember the date now. I feel like the end of next week. Furniture conversation with FEH. So we'll update you on that. I think I explained it the last time we met that it was just kind of looking at styles of furniture, tables, chairs, where we wanted things. And so now I think they're bringing some kind of a proposal.
How many providers are there for that?
I don't really know that. They kind of talked about asking firms to come in instead of trying to like bid out every little separate
Yeah,
thing, that
yeah.
you would basically do like an RFP for firms that do this kind of stuff to come in, and then pick a firm and then deal with them directly. Like, all right, what can you get us for these tall bar stool chairs and tall tables and the folding up tables for the community room, and they call these sled chairs where they don't have the pokey legs. Like,
Yeah.
I went to Asbury to meet the city administrator there for some stuff that we were doing, and she kind of walked me around their community room, and they have a nice setup of those kinds of tables that just flip up easily, that they're not like these kind where you need guys to try and help flip the things over and carry them. They just flip up, and then you can wheel them. And those stack pretty nice, so we'll report back when we get some more information.
That does go out to bid, correct? I mean, the request for proposal.
It'll be, yeah, it won't be like, it's hard, I think, to bid it like a street project bid, but yes. Like, it isn't as strict, because if you say, we want sled chairs with blah, 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 like, not every company has exactly the same, so it's a little bit difficult to, kind of like when we did carpet with you, it was we said one thing and then you said, oh, well, what about, like the thickness or whatever the different things are for carpet. So sometimes it's a little challenging depending on the brand that people use, but yes. My report.
Yes.
Reminder for everybody that we have the groundbreaking tomorrow. So our plan, if it rains, is that I think what we'll do is we'll have the shovels over on site around the Pierce Street side of the lot. If it's really yucky, we'll have Daniel take a picture quickly of everybody with the shovels, whip a little hunk of dirt, and our plan is to have the council and the library board do a small shovel of dirt. So I have to talk to the excavators, but I think they'll just be like a little mound of, like a little tiny berm. And we'll take a picture if it's gross outside, and then we'll just all go back over to the library. So the mayor will say a few words. We're planning to have Monica speak, Harley from Dubuque County, the chairman there. He will be here and say a few words, and then Michael Gale from FEH has also asked to say a few words. So pretty short. We ordered some cookies and have little bottles of water. So our hope is everybody can at least just come over to the library if it's gross outside and just listen for 10 minutes of talks, and it's at 5:30 tomorrow. Not required since there's no action, but we did post just a notice on the website and in the window, just notifying the public that the library board and the council would be together for a social gathering for the groundbreaking. So 5:30 tomorrow, please.
Thank you.
And then I've been working with the DOT. We can have a big thank you to ECIA, to Chandra. So you'll remember that I got that $120,000 from the county. Well, I got a call last week saying that there was a problem with that money because they didn't understand that we had locally let the project, and that when you locally let the project, you're not eligible for those dollars. And so we had a few days of, we might have to spend another $120,000, but ECIA, on behalf of the city, and then I reached out to Anthony as well, who's the DOT rep. They were gracious enough, based on nobody really doing anything on purpose for that the DOT is going to fund an extra $120,000 out of their pot, since technically that county money cannot be used when it was not locally let. And so I sent a big thank you to Anthony. He'll be sending us an amendment for our contract, but thankfully it's net zero. But they were gracious enough to help us.
Yeah.
And I kind of explained, like, we've already said the amount we, are going to borrow. We obviously could have figured out where to take it from because we can't redo the borrowing part, but I was very appreciative of that. At the next meeting, and there'll be an ad in the paper, I think, this week. One of the things that I noticed, based on our burn permits, you'll remember with the burn permits that we've asked everybody that was in M1 or M2 zoning for the clean industrial burning that they had to get a permit, no fee, but then they also have to call 911. So we sent them out to everybody that we knew was burning, and then when Kathy and I were everybody had signed them, and we said, let's mark down M1 or M2. And looking at the Beck property on Industrial Court, it was agriculture. And so somewhere in the approval of the plat and or the development agreement, it was missed that was never rezoned. You'll recall that happened with the Cascade Lumber land with all the houses. So a notice has been sent out to everybody as required within 300 feet. At the bottom of that, it does say, note, this is really a official redo of something that was accidentally missed. So that'll be on the next agenda for planning and zoning, which will meet April 4th, and then it'll be on your agenda for April 8th. The 4 nuisance letters went out. Obviously, that is not an easy thing for people to receive. The first step, if you hear anything, is that they have to have, they can request within a week to have a hearing, and the first hearing will be with me. And so I'm working with our attorney. We'll have a conference call tomorrow. And so the first phase will just be basically them explaining to me like why they think something isn't what they have plans for. If we don't agree, or that I still feel like there's a nuisance that isn't being resolved, then they have a right to appeal to the council, and then there could be a hearing before the council. So it went out to the 4 buildings that we've talked about. I've heard from 3 of the owners, not the 4th. Well 6 update. I think I had told you guys that you would see the truck there. So you'll recall when it first happened, they came and they were not able to get the internal pipe out that goes like 600 feet into the ground. So there's a larger pipe with a smaller pipe inside of it. And then the pump is at the bottom 1,000 feet down. So when they first grabbed it, They really couldn't get much out. I think they got 60 feet and then they were done, so we knew it had sheared off there. And then you'll recall back last fall that they, maybe it was even in the summer, that they installed a submersible pump so that we've been able to flip between well 5 and well 6. So they were able to come back last week. The first phase they pulled up was, I think they're 10 feet sections. They were able to pull up about 30 feet in the first round. And they knew that they didn't have very much because the truck will know if you're lifting up 600 feet of pipe versus 30 feet of pipe. So they got through that first 30 feet. Then they couldn't see anything, so they had to leave for a day, let all the yuckiness in the water that's kind of all gotten stirred up from them moving around in there settled, and then they were able to televise down there. At their second attempt, they were able to clamp onto it, and they knew that they had a large volume of pipe just because of the way that the truck sounds for how they're lifting it. So they were able to get everything out. They were able to get the pump out. So now the next phase is that they have to wait for the water to clear. The we're basically just using on the temp has to go back in so that we can alternate between 5 and 6. They'll take the pump back. They will start dealing with our insurance company. They have lots of pictures. They believe that it would be appropriate for an insurance claim. And then they said that it could be 6 months to like figure out like if they can fix it, what parts, if they can, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. It's out of commission probably for a few more days. And yes,
Right.
there's some gaps. And so as soon as the,
Furthest west, there's a pretty substantial.
yeah, there's some landscaping stuff that we have to do.
Okay.
So if you have a small dog, please don't be alert.
I mean, I don't even think it would have to be that small of a dog, like,
Yeah, there were places because of the way that,
Because it's not like flat, it's.
No.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
it's,
there's a gap, I would say.
yeah. So they knew, yeah, like you have to kind of, we're not gonna say you can't come up there, but yes,
Right.
there's some gaps. And so as soon as the weather gets a little bit better, the guys know that we have to do a little bit of landscaping with dirt and kind of build up that area.
Okay.
There's just no way to avoid it with the steep elevation change.
The other thing I noticed when I went up there, and I was wondering, because I know it'll probably be a problem at some point, when you approach there, you know, we kind of got the gravel turnaround kind of
Mhm.
coming in there. Is there any way we could get some type of gravel or something going right up to the gate? Because it gets pretty muddy right in
And
that
fill
area.
that in.
And then people pulling in and pulling out, I think that's gonna get.
Good idea.
Nasty looking.
Okay,
Yeah.
good idea. The human park at Oak Hill. The hardest part is installed. So basically how it works is you have like your first base section with the deepest pipes with the largest diameter for the holes. And so that's been put up. And now the guys just have to basically, in the warehouse where everything's stored at the utility warehouse, they're like taking a chunk at a time to figure out like what next. So they'll go off one side of that with a slide, another slide. And everything else, like these holes were 6 feet deep. And so they rented equipment from the lumberyard to go on the front of our skid steer to be able to make those holes. But the next holes are much smaller in diameter and they're only 2.5 feet deep. So everything from here on in is a lot simpler. They just have to basically take a chunk at a time and get that all out there. So they're working on that. And then we did get a letter. So you'll recall that all the townships that we serve for the ambulance service, I just got this letter, so I haven't even told Kim this. All the ambulance townships that we serve for the ambulance currently have a 28E agreement with us to pay a certain amount of money that adds up to $25,000 for all the townships. I think there's 7 or 8 of them. Those that are in Jones County, you'll recall that in Jones County, they had that referendum, and so now they charge a certain amount that is only allowed to go towards equipment. So Richland Center has sent me a letter asking to renegotiate their 2080 agreement because they don't think that they want to pay any money to us. Because they think that the money that's being collected through the tax is like double dipping. But if you, like I was researching and I've emailed Whitney, the county auditor for Jones County, like I don't think it was ever sold because that you weren't going to have these 2080 agreements. So we'll certainly sit down with them, but I think it's important, especially when you look at the changes that we're making to try and secure service for all of these, for our community and everybody around us. That money can only be used towards basically things like ambulances, or if we had to replace a large monitor, it's $20,000 a year. The money that we were getting from the townships is $25,000. So to say, everything that I read, it doesn't look like, and this will replace anybody paying for things. It was meant to be for capital equipment. So there may be a conversation. I think they they still have to live with it if we don't agree to get rid of it, and I don't know how we get rid of it for one, and then New County don't pay that tax, but, and I think, is it maybe only 2 or 3 that are in Jones County of the 8? Do you even know? I think it's just a couple.
Richland, not Richland Center.
Yeah.
Richland, okay, sorry.
Yep.
So anyway, if you hear anything, I will set up a meeting and probably, I'll just meet with them first, or we'll just have it be like Mike and Megan, so it's not, just doesn't seem appropriate at a council meeting to start, so, in case you hear anything about that. And I think that's all. Just remember the next meeting, that's the next thing on there, but the next meeting, by state law, we have to have a separate meeting with nothing else on the agenda for this property tax hearing deal, and it must be at least 30 minutes separate from our other meeting. So even if no one comes, we have to have this meeting at 5:30, and we may not start, even like if it's a 2-minute meeting, you adjourn it, and we have to sit here till 6 o'clock by law. We can't start the next meeting. Otherwise, if we didn't, I could say the next meeting's going to start immediately after the 5:30 meeting, but, so plan on most likely a delay unless these mailers generate a lot of activity here. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Good. Number 19, public comment. You have a limit of 3 minutes per person. Only items on this agenda. Seeing none, I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Delaney,
I'll second.
second by Oliphant. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Sorry, you
I
take a
know, I
breath
thought
to
he
say
was
something.